Now, good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you view this program from. I want to welcome you to another broadcast of Pitch Deck 101. Today, I have a very dynamic personality in studio, and her name is Dr. Felicia Watson. In case you're wondering what she's dynamic in, one of her area of specialty, she is a business purpose loan broker. She's the lady that gets you access to the capital, but she represents so much more. So she's also holds a bachelor's degree in business, a master's degree in business, and a doctorate in theology. That's how dynamic she is. But she also has experience working with both the state and federal government of the United States of America. So we are so happy to have you here today, Dr. Felicia. But just before I give you a chance to speak, I just want to do some housekeeping. This program comes to you with a kind compliment of Pitch Deck 101. So I want to encourage you to visit pitchdeck101.org. That's our website to learn more about what we do at Pitch Deck. We help people access capital, we help people mitigate the debt process. And today we have in the studio one of our icons, one of our partners who are definitely connecting with the financial world, and she will talk to us today about that. Dr. Felicia, welcome. It's a
Hey, hey,
tremendous pleasure to have you here today.
Gary,
Welcome.
I'm excited to be here with you and to be a part of the team as we look to take all of our lives to the next level from an entrepreneurial perspective. So just super excited to be here with you.
Awesome. Now, without any delay, tell me a little bit about yourself, Dr. Felicia, so the audience can have a better understanding as to who Dr. Felicia is.
All right. So first of all, first and foremost is that I come from a family of eight. So I start always with the foundational piece. I come from two individuals that raise their children with integrity, with honesty, and raise us to be the best that we possibly can. So I start there, just who I am, just intrinsically my background. Now, from an educational perspective, I have a bachelor's degree in business administration from SUNY New Paltz. I was initially in college, and here's one of the things that you wonderful people are going to get. You're going to get it real, honey. So I keep it real. So when I first went to
I
college,
know, I
okay,
know that.
okay,
I know that.
here we go.
You come here,
Okay,
you're as real as it gets, right? I know
yeah.
that.
So when I first went to college, I went to college on a full scholarship. um School to me was always easy, and but a strange thing happens, and this when we look at the learning styles of different individuals, and this is in sync with even this conversation as we look at business and entrepreneurial endeavors, and is that people have different styles. So when I first went to college, it was easy for me. I went, I had already had a boatload of college credits coming out of high school, and even though I never looked at myself as smart. I looked at myself as someone with a lot of passion and compassion for people. So I never, I did well in school. It wasn't, I never thought about it. So, but when I went to college, uh, by my second year, I lost interest, complete interest. And I ended up dropping out of college. I got pregnant, and um, and the rest of that was history, that part. So here I was coming out of high school with probably enough credits for almost a year of college, and then full scholarship. My whole school was being paid, and they were giving me a stipend. So not only was my education paid for, my room and board, which is the academic piece, my housing was paid for, and they were giving me a stipend. And yet, with all of that, and this is really important when it comes to our college students. This is important for entrepreneurs when we talk about passion. We'll be talking about that at some point later, or perhaps in a different show. That you have to live your truth. You have to walk at where your passion is and your purpose, because if not, nothing, it won't amount to a hill of beans. So here I was in college, full scholarship, everything paid for with a stipend, and I dropped out. I just didn't want to go to class. It wasn't the academics. I lost interest and I got pregnant. And then it wasn't until approximately 2 years later that I went back to college. Now I was paying on my own. And that's how I became indebted with a boatload of student loans. I went back to college. I initially started at the local community level while I work community college, and I worked, and then I moved on to a 4 year college that was close because at this time I had my amazing daughter, my beautiful amazing daughter, intelligent daughter, just the apple of my eye. And then I went back to college. I went back to college. I finished. I obtained my bachelor's and continued to work. I was working at that time in journalism, and I was working on the business desk for a very prominent newspaper, and then I ended up, just wasn't enough. I'm like, there's something more, and I applied for Rotary Scholarship. And those of you may know there's Rotarians all over the entire world. I applied for Rotary Scholarship, and out of thousands of individuals, I was old at the time, and out of thousands of individuals who applied, I received a scholarship. But watch this. Here's the twist, and this is when we look at the realities of life. And I'm going to try and I'm keeping my life very succinct, but I'm saying some pivotal pieces that I think we can build upon later, Gary, that become important as we look at life in this journey called life. So they called me in for the interview. My interview was going to take place that Saturday. On that Tuesday, before my interview, my brother, who had just gone back to law school, was killed in an automobile accident.
Wow.
So here on that Tuesday, my brother was killed, and 30 years
Wow.
old, and we were devastated. We were totally, as a family, we were totally in shock, totally devastated. As I
I
say,
could imagine.
yeah. But that Saturday, I had to do the interview. And so my brother called. Am I talking too loud, guys? No, you're fine. Oh, and I'm in a remote place.
I got you.
Okay, so
I got you.
work with. So, and I talk loud naturally because I told you I come from a family of eight. So you all people, you work with me here. So my Tuesday, my brother was killed in an automobile accident. Saturday, I had the interview. My family member, one of my other brothers, called the Rotarians in the local area where I was and said, "Listen, we had tragedy in our family. Is there any way that she can put off doing the interview? We are just devastated as a family." When I say devastated, you have no idea. And they said no, that I couldn't. That if I didn't show up for the interview, that I would forfeit I would forfeit the prospects of being interviewed and possibly obtaining the scholarship. And it was a big scholarship. I can't remember now exactly. I think it was like 100,000 or 150,000. I can't remember exactly what it was now, but it was covering my education abroad. So I thought about it, I prayed about it, and I made a decision I was going to go. I don't it's a complete blur to me. If you ask me what questions did they ask you, I cannot tell you one question. I couldn't tell you how I got there. I mean, I know physically who drove me there, but just how and driving to the place, because it was not in my local community. It was in another city adjacent to my community, and I got there. So here's the bottom line. The reason I share that is a part of this, is that in life, this journey called life, these are the highs and lows, the ebbs and flows of things that happen. And when you're tenacious and you want to persevere regarding something, you do it. You do it no matter what. And even when you're operating outside of yourself, even when you are in a place of inertia, or you're in a place of where you couldn't even, I couldn't even hardly breathe, let alone answer people's questions, literally. You know, when I say I couldn't hardly breathe, because this was totally devastating for us. But anyway, I did the interview, and then that's how I ended up overseas in Barcelona, Spain, at one of the top MBA schools in Europe. And let me tell you, that was an incredible experience. I was there for 2 years. It was powerful, and I made it happen. So that's pretty much the educational piece that I want to share. And of course, the theology piece, the doctrine and philosophy and theology that came later, a part of it in conjunction with the MBA program, and then a part of it separate from it, because I did advanced classes through the program. How in my desire to look for the higher things, because first it was a part of it was philosophy, which I've always had a passion for, and then after the whole theology piece, which also I also have a compassion for the study of religions and religious things.
Awesome, awesome. Dr. Felicia, we have spoken many times. You have a rich history, and I'm always consumed when you're, talking about your history. I do admire you as a woman in America. You're a fighter, and you're taking steps to make things happen. I recognize that early in your life, you had desire of working on Wall Street. You had desire of getting into the legal fraternity. You went into marketing. Today, you are a business purpose loan broker, which is definitely playing it at the Wall Street game, because you're not just the average business purpose loan broker. You are able to provide funding throughout the United States of America, and you have in excess of 100 financial institutions that you're representing in your portfolio. The
Mm-hmm.
big question I want to ask you, as a commercial loan broker in the United States, what does it mean to function in this particular capacity? I know you
Well,
travel all the time, but I
yeah,
want to hear it from you.
absolutely. So the first thing I do, because this is the teacher side of me, is I believe in solid foundation. So, and just in case some of your listeners aren't even aware, so business purpose, the basic definitions that generally speaking is that if the borrower is using the monies for some sort of plan to generate income, then the loan is a quote unquote business purpose loan. Okay, so that's the foundational piece to it. Um, um, Versus if they're using it for personal reasons, or then it's more of a consumer purpose or consumer loan. So that's the basic. When we look at what a business purpose loan is, or versus a consumer loan. So one of the pieces, as you're saying, because there's so many tenets of this, and I'm going to try and tease it out so people really have a clear understanding, because there's a lot of jargon and information that's put out there, just so that we have a strong level in the ground. So when we look at lending, right? When we look at lending, when individuals, there's additional. We focus, as you know, what we focus on is for mortgages for commercial or and residential. So they're both sides. It's not just for residential; it's for both. And the services that I provide, and the services through these lenders that have products, are for both sides, both residential as well as for commercial. So that's one thing. Now, many of you have heard of um, a qualifying mortgage, or a QM. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard of that, for a qualifying mortgage. And a qualifying mortgage is basic, what most people get. Those are mortgages that have a lot of legal protections for the lender. They have protections also for the borrower. These loans tend to be more difficult to obtain for the average person, especially for individuals. So, for example, individuals that are retirees, musicians, artists, those sorts of individuals. And we're going to cross over and talk about how those individuals are funded. So, most of us understand and know about a QM, or a qualifying mortgage loan. Most people do. And if you don't, definitely you look it up if you're interested in purchasing a home, or circle back, and we can delve into that. But that part is real simple. The non-QM, or the non-qualifying loan, is a bit different. That's the one where that I focus on. That's where, because, and this is, and that's different. Another thing I want to bring out, just so people are clear, that's still different from an MLO, or mortgage loan originator. Because a mortgage loan originator, you have to have certification, you have to have credentials, you have to be certificated within your specific state. That's not what I offer. What I'm offering is regulated, but it's not. It's regulated, but there's no mandate of certification for this. anyone can do this. So I just want to put that out there. Now, when I say anyone, of course, there's still a skill set that you would need in order to do this. And I'm keeping it somewhat superficial without going into the weeds too much, because and doing that, I don't want to lose myself as far as trying to break all of this down. This is an arena, I want to be brutally honest, that I'm recently in. I as a result of being, and if many of you have heard of the social media platform called Clubhouse, and I've been on that platform for about a year and a half now, and as a result of being in the clubhouse, what I call the clubhouse streets, I came across some phenomenal individuals. I'm not going to call their names. It's not necessary for these purposes, but I do believe in giving people honor where honor's due and credit where credit's due. I didn't come across this myself. I came across two phenomenal individuals, and they're both mortgage loan originators, and they're both in the arena. But then they did a shift, and they begin to educate people about these non-QM or non-qualified mortgage loans in this arena, where revenue can be generated for us as brokers without any certification or credentialing.
What I love, what I love about this platform also is that while it creates tremendous opportunity for you as a commercial loan broker to significantly optimize your cash flow, it also provides a tremendous opportunity for the entrepreneur to access capital at greater ease. The pre-qualification for debt, it's very high. The pre-qualification for equity is very high. The pre-qualification for credit is a little low, perhaps one of the low hanging fruit. And here is where in the commercial loan broker space, the business purpose loan broker space, you even simplify that entire process for the entrepreneur. Because when we look at the range of lending portfolios within your space, is tremendous. Almost anything that you can think about, you can get non-secure funding for a range of different things that will significantly help to increase the borrower opportunities to access capital and create the leverage that they need to grow and scale and diversify and significantly optimize the business cash flow. So that's something that I really, really love about your space. And I'm happy that we're having this conversation today. But just to shift a little bit, you are not just operating in Washington. You're not just operating in Florida. You're not just operating in New Jersey. Give us an idea. So the audience who are listening to us today, they have a better idea as to how broad your portfolio is in terms of reach within the United States of America.
Well, it can be any place, any place in the United States, as well as for foreign nationals. If foreign nationals are interested in investing in the United States, it has to be foreign nationals that are interested in investing in the U.S. They can access. I'm working with a couple now to purchase a multi-unit home that they will use to cash flow an investment property. For themselves and their families. So we can provide services to any states and any individual, even those external to the United States or foreign nationals can also invest in.
Access your funding market. And that's what I love. And that's what I love about our partnership, because we are working a whole lot with nationals and foreign nationals. And we are happy that some of those clients we are able to bring to you. In fact, we have started some conversation with you already with some of those clients in terms of ensuring that they are fundable and ensure that through the collaboration, we are able to get them access to the much needed capital that they need to move a process forward.
Yeah,
so
quickly
go ahead.
so people understand the focus, because it's not just commercial, it's also residential, as I said. But the focus of these, the ability for individuals, for example, those who are self-employed, those who are entrepreneurs, those who are contractors, those who are hospitality workers, retirees, actors, artists, musicians. These are the individuals who typically find it very difficult to obtain a qualified mortgage or funding for investment properties, whether commercial or residential. They find it very difficult because their dollars tend to many times come in lump sum, and so they don't have the traditional funding sources, W-2s, and those sorts of things, where traditional lenders would obtain their information, the documents that they would receive. A lot of these individuals don't have those, and so this non-QM, which is a non-qualified mortgage loan, this becomes really pivotal for them, because it's ideal for borrowers who have fluctuating or lump sum incomes. And I want to make that point very clear. Also, individuals who don't mind, there's always a gift to get in everything in life. The interest rates are going to be slightly higher, absolutely, unequivocally, but the documents necessary are going to be substantially lower. The qualifications and the criteria in order to meet it is going to be starkly different than what you would need for a conventional or traditional loan. Here's the other reality.
Can we go into this just a little bit more? The same point. And I'm happy that you made mention of this, because in the United States, you have the FHA and you have traditional. FHA loans, perhaps with just a 3.5% deposit, you're able to leverage that. But the foreign nationals may not be able to leverage the FHA. You have traditional lending, and what I'm finding now is that traditional lending was at 20%. Now traditional lending, it has come all the way down to about 3% in terms of accessing capital portfolio for investment. Today we have your space, hard money lending. What are some of those major differences that we are talking about when it comes to FHA, traditional, hard money lending?
Right.
So I know you started to talk about that, easier access, but you expand on that for the audience a little more.
Sure. First of all, let's define it. Let's look at what hard money loan or hard money lending is. It's a specific type of a loan. Add asset-based loan financing. I want to say that again. For hard money loans, it is a specific type of asset-based loan financing through which a borrower receives funds secured by real property. Catch that. The borrower receives funds secured by real property. Hard money loans are typically private investors. They're not the typical bank. They're not a typical mortgage company. Starkly different. Let's build from there. As I said, the interest rates are typically higher. They can be residential or commercial. They're tied to some type of a security. They're tied to something that's collateral or asset based. That's the big difference, and that's where with these individuals, the ability. So if we look at the dichotomy of the two, so hard money loans. Let's just go over them first. Hard money loans are typically higher interest rates. The funding, you receive it faster. There's greater flexibility, less documents, less requirements, less criteria than a traditional or conventional loan. Let me tell you, here's the reality. Most entrepreneurs, most individuals, self-employed, retirees, you will not be able to qualify for a traditional mortgage. It's just very difficult. Without, the individuals like that tend to have good cash flow, but their documentation and that sort of thing does not meet the requirements, will not meet the requirements of a bank or typical underwriter for a mortgage company or something. So it's quite different.
Beautifully said.
And then, you see, so let's switch it over to now a bank or a mortgage company or whomever. The criteria is stringent. Boatloads of documents. When I say a boatload, foreign nationals, forget about it. It's not even there. Even to invest in here, the constraints are very high. um, the longer time it would take a longer time to obtain the dollar. So, for
To get the
example,
pre-qualification.
no, not just pre-qualifications. That too, you're 100% spot on. However, to have access to the money. So whereas with hard money, honey, they want to get that to you quickly. They want to seal the
Fast.
deal
Yeah,
fast. Whereas
they
with
get it fast.
exactly, it could be 2 to 3 weeks. It could be for some it's 2 to 3 days. You know, if everything is in, you're good money to have that thing executed and sealed quickly. Whereas with traditional or conventional methods of financing, it can take a while for the deal to close. So those are some of the
The
differences.
difference.
There
What I,
there are others, but those are some of the
yeah,
basic differences.
I'm certain that there are others. What I want to say in support of what you would have just said, there are many persons across the world not fully understanding financial instruments and financial tools and debt mitigation systems. When they hear high interest rate, they tend to get very turned off. One of the things that we have learned in the financial space, um, when you're taking a debt, if you understand your amortization schedule, that looks at a range of different things, opening balance, principal and interest, closing balance. Once you understand these concepts, you are able to manage the interest rate. In fact, a high interest rate, you can control that. The perception is that the financial institutions and those who are controlling the institution have control over interest rate. But what is it that most people do not know because they're not studying in this field is that you, the consumer, you have control over how much you're paying for that debt that you're utilizing. But we'll
Mhm.
leave that for another program where we're going to perhaps do a deep dive into that to show people the high level of control that they have over high interest rates. But I
And let me
love you would have, go
piggyback
ahead.
really quickly, without going into a whole bunch, is when we look at DTI, debt to income ratio, that for the traditional individual, that well, not traditional, the typical individual, they have constraints. Like, so for traditional conventional um, lenders, there's a whole science behind this. Slightly higher interest rates, that's not a negative thing, because these hard money loans are typically short term. These are not long term loans. These are for people who are shaking and moving, who need money fast. So when you look at people and listen to people, and many of you have, like Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, these individuals have mastered this. They get it. Donald Trump, some of you love him, some of you hate him. These these have mastered this. We don't understand these people. When you look at and I'm not there yet, and I'm not going to purport to be there. I'm not there yet, but I'm strategically positioning myself. Is debt is debt is king. People talk cash is not king. Beautiful people, debt is king, and
Yeah, because it gives you leverage,
gives
it
you
gives you leverage. And once
leverage.
you understand how to take that and leverage that into what we call the income producing asset, you're taking money that you don't have and you're leveraging it now to build wealth for yourself. That is I totally agree with what you're saying. The average person getting into debt because they probably don't understand fully well of what they're going into, they create a liability instead of an asset. So you're perfectly correct. And the names that you would have called, the names like Kiyosaki and the Trumps and those guys, they are masters at
Mhm.
leveraging debt. I mean, Kiyosaki, he is a millionaire today because he leveraged the credit card, and he was able to use that to create performing assets.
There's
And he
a person,
duplicated that
so
process. Go
so this
ahead.
person in there too is um and another trait of coming from a big family is you over talk each other. So, honey, we're just having this fireside chat. You and I just doing our
You got it.
so
You got it.
thing
Um,
is the huge piece is OPM. OPM.
okay.
You know
Other
me,
people
OPM.
money.
Other people's other money,
Yeah, you got it.
and that's where it meets the road. OPM, other people's money. When you look to scale other people's money, when you look at the investment, Grant Cardone. I haven't mastered everything, but I began to listen to him about 2 years ago, and I've seen him, and I see him now in his glory. I've seen him when he wasn't as at the scale that he is now. And I've watched his life, and now because he also is in these clubhouse streets recently, I see his trajectory, and it comes from, he's a very humble man. People, I mean, he has ego from the perspective of he's not intimidated to speak his mind, and I love that about him. I think he's a phenomenal human being from what I know of him, and he has what I've seen, and I've met him in person, and what I've seen in him is that he is genuine, he's real, he talks the talks and walks the walk, but he's big on OPM, other people's money. See, the debt we're talking about is not a new pair of Louboutins or Fendi or a Manolo Blahniks or a bespoke suit. The debt that we're talking about is using debt to fund businesses and to strategically position yourself so that you're constantly scaling up. That's what we're talking about. Debt. Robert Kiyosaki his debt is not driven from his buying a yacht or buying a car. These are depreciating assets. The debt that we're talking about is a whole different ball of wax. And as you said, Gary, we can talk about that in another detail later.
You got it.
I want to make it clear because people will get confused by that, because when they look at debt, that is not a house. Buying a home is not an asset. It's a liability.
It's not. It's a liability. You're perfectly, You're perfectly correct. What I want to add to what you're saying, we have developed a unique platform that really enable persons to understand how the debt leverage process work. And just before I get to the debt leverage, I want to point out some statistics. In America today, we have approximately $1.2 billion up to today's date that has been allocated in the credit card distribution. Today, you have in excess of 175 million persons who are using credit card. But guess what? You have in excess of 55% of that number. That's above 90 million persons that needs help in terms of mitigating that debt process.
Right.
With that being said, that's one of the reasons why I always advocate at Pitch Deck 101 that it's important to understand the OPM concept. But as you understand the OPM concept, you also need to take the time to understand things like debt portfolios, debt access. Most importantly is debt leverage. Don't take a debt unless you really understand how to create positive cash flow. So we go deep into that to ensure that they have that knowledge. Last but not least is the debt mitigation. Interest rate doesn't matter. Once you understand how to play the financial game, you understand this body of knowledge, you are able to have super control over debt leverage. So I think it is this body of knowledge that the super wealthy understand, and they are sharing some of those information. And on this platform, that's what we want to give. So when we help somebody access capital, that's not the beginning and the end. We help them to understand smart debt leverage. We help them to understand how to exit, because we have so many persons today that are at pre-foreclosure. We have so many persons today that are losing the wealth that they are creating. And our mission, yes, is to make money and all of that, but is also to ensure that we are providing value of the service to people. Felicia, I want to come to another question. I mean, I really love your energy. I love your wisdom. And I know that you care a lot about your consumer. How do you want to impact the business community across the 50 states in the US?
All right. So the first thing is that I believe that there's an adage that says wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. It's a Jewish adage. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, but in all you're getting, get understanding. So the number one most important thing, and even me talking about my academic component of my life, is that people need knowledge, but not just knowledge. They always say that saber es poder, which in Spanish is knowledge is power. But applied knowledge is power.
The application, you got it.
just having knowledge and not optimally utilizing or synthesizing it so that you understand how it should be executed and implemented doesn't amount to a hill of beans. You have to understand it. So one of the things, and that's why I love partnering with you, one of the things is that we're about educating first. So that's the first part of the platform, is one, first of all, to educate myself. I always say put the mirror on myself first to make sure that I'm optimal, because I'm building my wings as I'm flying, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not purporting. One of the things you'll see and hear, unfortunately, is that there are a lot of people that are purporting to be more than what they are. And I always say, check the receipts. Show me your receipts. What are your receipts?
Yeah.
And see what, for me, I catapult from that place to say I'm one of you. However, the difference perhaps is that I'm educating myself, I'm fast tracking it so that I can get to the next level quickly. And I'll bring whoever wants to go along with me as I learn and grow, as I'm building my wings, as I'm flying. You can come along too. But what I won't do, and what you won't hear, is me embellishing or pretend to be something that I'm not. That will not happen. However, as I am on an upward trajectory, I am on an upward slope, and wonderfulness is happening. I am scaling my business. I have moved from the W-2, which the preponderance of the world are working for themselves, are working for other people. I have left my W-2. I am an entrepreneur now. I am building a strong platform and catapulting from a solid place. And when we look at this area that I'm a part of now, the bottom line is I'm in a position to help you to make your dreams reality. I'm in a position to provide money for your businesses, money for some of you that you would never be in a position to obtain funding from a regular traditional funding source. It will not happen. And so these alternatives are now here, and we're willing to, first of all, to work with you through Pitch Deck. They're going to provide the services of teaching about credit, helping to build business credit, helping to create a foundation, the basic steps in ensuring that you have a real business, not a hobby. Hello, I'll say that again for the people in the back. To make
You
sure that
got
you
it.
have a solid business and not a hobby, because for most of us, the business is essentially, we're not listed. We're not listed. We don't have a proper business name. We don't have a proper business entity. We don't have a proper business address. We don't have a proper telephone address listed with the 411. Those are basic things that have to be put in place before you're legitimately seen by your government, whether it's in this country or in other countries. And it's solid, trade lines, all of those types of things that have to be in place. Business accounts, business at the bank, a separate account from your personal account. You have a separate business account. These are some foundational things, and some of it takes training and teaching in order for that to happen, even before you get to this point, or in conjunction with getting to this point. The two can be done simultaneously, because that's where you come in, Gary, as well as a funder also comes in.
You got it.
The dollars.
You got it. And that's well said.
Yeah.
That is well said.
So we're fine. And I just want to throw some things out there. I have it here. So, and we can tease this thing out in another show, Gary. But just so you're aware, so for both the residential and the business side, because we started at the onset of as at the show of saying business purpose loans or a broker. I'm a broker, and you as borrowers, you're looking to generate income. You're looking to and invest and take your business to another level, whether you're fixing and flipping, whether you have a nail salon, whether you're looking to open a Chick-fil-A, a McDonald's, or whatever you're looking to do. You're looking to expand your business, your events planning business. You're looking to buy a sports team, whatever it is, whatever, that there is funding that is available for you. We have access to funders that will meet your needs. Their requirements are as diverse as the East is from the West, different ones. So what we do is we deal with each case individually. We look at, okay, what you need, and we meet your needs. It's almost tailor-made, like a bespoke suit, like a suit that's just made specifically for you. Okay.
You cannot say anything more, right?
Yeah.
You
So
can't
here,
answer anything better than that, right?
yeah, some of the areas. So I want to throw it out there and for the folks, so they know
Yeah,
what we're dealing with, Gary. So we can
you got it.
commercial real estate. So if you're looking to go into the commercial arena, we got you. If you're looking to go into to inventory finances, you need to buy a bigger truck. You need to buy a greater fleet of trucks. We got you. Whatever your needs are, equipment financing. Um, Commercial vehicle financing, equity investments, term loans. If you're looking for term loans, which are probably the most popular, we got you. You need a quick fix, a really short term just to meet needs. We can make that happen. Business lines of credit, micro loans, revenue lending. And we'll break all this down at some in some other show. We're not going to get into to each of these areas because it's just too many. Accounts receivable financing. You have a 401k. You've always had a dream to start your business, whatever it is. It could be a hair business, a barbershop, a beauty parlor. Those are some basic things, but we're moving beyond those even. But to have a real legitimate beauty parlor business, honey, like on what was the show on BAPS. Some of you saw that. Well, honey, they didn't just have it wasn't just some little hole in a wall salon, honey. They had a whole fleet. Then they had a fleet of limousines, honey. We're talking taking it to a whole other
Not a
level,
level. You
another
got
level.
it.
We're talking a beauty emporium where then you have products being sold like facials and all other kind of stuff happening that in your emporium where you're selling products that catapult you. Mary Kay and those individuals will have nothing on you. So we have dollars for that. Instead of using your 401k, if you're currently in a job, then we have dollars that can go against that, against it, funding that can go against that. Securities financing, purchase order financing. You need to fill in the gap. You got purchase orders. You need that are in place, and you need some funding to kind of fill in the gap. We have dollars there. We have funding, and access to funding for you. We are the bank indeed, and we are here to meet your needs. Whatever you
Neat.
need, we got it. We have got it.
Preach it, my lady. Preach it.
Honey, we're here letting the people know we got what they need. We got what they here. Got what they need. Hello.
You get it. You get it. All right. Tell me this very quickly, Dr. Felicia. I know the entry barrier here is very low, but what are some of the basic things that people would need to consider that need our funding support?
What?
Yes, they would need to have their EIN, their ITIN as a foreign national, as a local, you may need your SSN. But outside of all of that, what are some of the other basic things? What I captured from what you said, this is going to be asset-based lending. So it's easier if you're taking the debt and you're probably going to invest in a personal home or a corporate entity. The entity itself can be leveraged as collateral, so that makes it very easier for you. That could be leveraged as a security for you to access. But anything else you want to add?
Yeah, definitely. Because here's what we and this is where it's this beautiful this partnership is. There's some folks, and again, I said this at the earlier, just a few minutes ago, that if you're moving from a hobby to a business, there's a foundation that has to be created, and you can't get around that. So you can't come just thinking that you're just going to get money just because. It ain't happening. Even these non-QM loans, it ain't happening, honey. There's still a process. It's not as stringent, and the criteria and the documentation is substantially lower, but there's still, these folks ain't just they're not just giving away money, 500,000, 10,000, 500,000, 100,000, 500,000, $1,000,000, $5 million. They're not just giving away dollars and without some form of guarantee that you're going to be able to you have an ability. They call it the ATR, your ability to repay. Folks want to know that you have the ATR. The
You got it.
about the OPM. Now we're talking about the ATR, your ability
ATR.
to repay. And so let me just go over some basic things that each one will request. So the performance commitment, That's something that they want to know, that are you able to execute? Do you have your ducks in a row? And this is where a person like Gary comes into play. So they don't want to be messing around, dickering around, waiting for you to try and get your entity in place, whether it's an LLC, an S corp, or a corporation, or whatever it is. You have to come ready. If they say if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Well, if you come ready, you don't have to try and get ready. So you're going to be coming ready. So they want to know your performance commitment. Do you have everything in place? Because they only give the broker, me, 10 days. Um, um, Once they put forth that conditional loan approval, pretty much a small period of time in order to get the loan through, or else it will fail. There's called a 1003, or a uniform residential loan application. And in that, it talks about the property information, the borrower information, the borrower employment information. And employment is if you're self-employed, and then all of those things, your monthly income, your expenses, your housing expenses. Do you own your home? Do you not? Do you know your expenses, your assets, your liabilities? You all of that has to be filled out. In order for, on this form, it's called a 1003. All of that has to be filled out. Details of the transaction. If you already have an offer in place and you're just looking for the funding, you have an offer on, let's just say, a multi-unit residential investment property, and you just need the funding, then the purchase price, and you know, any alterations, all of that kind of stuff, those sorts of things. And so that's a 1003, which is explicit, and it does require information, but minimal information compared to what you would need for a conventional loan, or a QM, or a qualifying mortgage.
Because this can be done in a day or two.
Exactly, fast.
This
So if you
can be done in a day or two. And
right,
in less than 7 days, you have access to the bag.
100%. And then the third part is the business purpose submission form, which is they have both broker information, which would be me, and then the borrower details. And in the borrower details, citizenship, are you a citizen or not citizen, or foreign national, your current living arrangements, that information, property occupancy. What are you looking to be owner occupied, or solely investment, non-owner occupied, non-owner occupied, or owner occupied? So those are some of the basic things that some of the basic forms that have to be put in place. There are other things, but those are the big ones, especially the 1003, which really delineates your ability to ATR, to your ability to repay the loan. Do you have the money to repay it? Do you have the ability to repay it? And that's where your assets and liabilities. Do you have closing costs? Are you scraping and like trying to showboat for others? You can't showboat because when this information is requested, it's substantiated. It has to be substantiated with bank statements. And the good news with the non-QM loan is it's minimal. They don't ask for a lot, but they still do ask for it. They want to see your ability to pay.
You must be ready. You must be fundable. And I love that you talk about closing, because, I'm interfacing with so many persons that they got access. They're very close to closing off the deal, but they can't close because some of the closing requirements they didn't look at properly. I know you're talking about things like the appraisal, you're talking about attorney fee, you're talking about underwriting, you're talking about origination, you're talking about title search, and all these things are so vital to this entire process. The beauty is that we can provide them with that comprehensive range of service. So all they need to do is to come with a vision. We're going to get them prepared, get their business properly set up in the US. We're going to walk them through the step-by-step approach to ensure that they are fundable. And from that point, there's where you're going to take them. You're going to ensure that they get that fund. We're going to take them back and ensure that they are properly integrated to the market to ensure that they can cash flow maximize. We're going to have we have to have another conversation, because that part of it we want to be clear. As you get into business, you want to know your market accommodators. You want to know the market enablers. That means you're doing the market research. You're getting to the ground. You're understanding your market size, your market density. You're understanding your market needs, wants, and expectations. Those are all things that we go into. So the consumer, they're educated. all right, about what they are doing. And our investors, they feel more secure and more protected because they know that the clients that we're going to refer to them, they're going to be given that support to create positive cash flow. Dr. Felicia, it's always a pleasure, working with you. I must say, it is your fire that attracted me to you. I see why you tear up the stage, you get out there and you bring passion, you bring energy, you bring the authentic you, and I really love that. Is there any parting word that you would want to share and leave with, you know, the audience in social media land?
I think here's the bottom line specific to these loans is that we're able to meet your needs, whatever your dreams are, your passion, your purpose, and if you've tried to get it other places, you've tried to secure loans other places, and you were not successful, you definitely want to reach out. We have you. We can position you. We can assist you, both on two sides. First of all, if you need to build your business up better, then that's where Gary comes in and his team can help. And then from a loan perspective, as Gary said, we have access to over 100 funders. We are the bank. We are able to help you make your dreams reality, and we just want you to know that. But there's a process. There's nothing that's easy. Easy only from the perspective is if you have a solid foundation, a strong business foundation, then this process is seamless. I mean it. It is seamless to get these Benjamins. It is seamless to get these dollars. It is seamless for you to have to utilize these investment opportunities to take your life and your business to the next level.
Well, there you had it from Dr. Felicia. And Dr. Felicia is very solid, very anchored. She holds a bachelor's degree in business, a master's degree in business. She had tremendous aspiration in getting to Wall Street, getting into law and marketing. Today, she is the embodiment of all of that because she is a business purpose loan broker representing in excess of 100 financial institutions. And through this synergy, we are able to ensure that you get access to funding. The icing on the cake that I just want to say is Dr. Felicia is a hardcore business lady, but she's also a hardcore woman of God. She has a doctorate in theology. And, with this kind of business and compassion that comes together, Dr. Felicia, I really love that. You also have experience working with both the state government and the federal government in the United States of America. You have many, many years in education. You work in the educational field, the U.S. Department of Education. So, you are impeccable in terms of your standing. And I just want to throw some flowers at your feet. You're a woman, and I do believe that you're raising the fly very high for what women can accomplish, not only in America, but across the world. Dr. Felicia, it has been a pleasure talking with you today. I trust that the audience would have enjoyed today's the first, leg of introducing Pitch Deck to them and what Pitch Deck can do for them in terms of getting them access to capital, helping them to grow and scale their business and ensure that their business is successful. And we will do this again very soon, Dr. Felicia, and I want to thank you for your time. The last word is with you, Dr. Felicia.
I just want to say thank you to you and for all the great, the fine work that you and your team are doing to positively impact the lives of people. It's a beautiful thing when you have individuals who, not only from a business perspective, but from a genuine heart perspective, want to see other people succeed, realizing that success is a gift that we give to ourselves when we fulfill the dreams in our hearts. And so, as I look at you as an individual, as a man of color, that uh, transcends all races and ethnicities. I mean, this is all about, just positively impacting the lives of people at large. But when I look at you as a man of color that just has, the passion and commitment to teach, to educate, to inform, and to strategically position people, I just want to say kudos to you for all that you and your team are doing to help take people's lives to the next level.
Thank you, Dr. Felicia. And there you had it, Dr. Felicia. We do this again soon, Dr. Felicia. Goodbye, and keep that bright smile on your face, right?
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Bye bye, Dr.
All right.
Felicia.
Ciao.
Okay, bye.